stops during that T, and whatever you do, do not look away. This isn't your average horror story, and this sure as hell ain't Meet the Parents.
I will bring you down, baby. I will bring you down to Chinatown.
So how the hell did this razor-sharp, racially charged, genre-busting mind trip of a movie become one of the most iconic horror films of the 21st century? How did Jordan Peele, the guy who gave us
I said, bitch.
turn around and give us a horror masterpiece that had us laughing, gasping, squirming, and questioning reality all at once? And would you believe that the idea for this actually came from an Eddie Murphy joke, was shot on a shoestring budget, and almost had a completely different but altogether depressing ending? Well, buckle up, sink into your chair, and prepare for a descent into the sunken place as we ask, what the happened to Jordan Peele's Get Out?
All I know is sometimes, if there's too many white people, I get nervous, you know?
Back in the 2010s, Jordan Peele starred in the widely popular Key and Peele alongside Keegan-Michael Key. Jordan had built a career on sharp parody and absurd characters.
I'll have what I'm having.
Even though he was a comedic genius, Peele was also a lifelong horror fan. And oddly enough, a key inspiration for his future Oscar winner came from an Eddie Murphy bit in his 1983 stand-up special Delirious. Murphy joked about white people staying in haunted houses even after being warned by ghosts.
A ghost say get the f out, I would just tip the f out the door. We ain't got nothing to wear. I really love them. This is really nice. Get out. Too bad we can't stay, baby.
Eventually morphing into the film's title and central premise. What if leaving isn't that easy when you're the one being hunted? Fast forward to 2013. Over coffee in New Orleans, Peele pitched the entire concept to producer Sean McKittrick. He explained the sunken place, hypnosis, and the racial suburban nightmare at the center. McKittrick was floored, calling it one of the most original ideas he'd ever heard, and told Peele to write it. Peele finished a draft in just 2 months, but would go on to revise it over 200 times, drawing on inspirations like The Stepford Wives, Rosemary's Baby, and even the British series Psychoville. His script was raw, deeply personal, and unlike anything Hollywood had seen before.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a 3rd term if I could. Best president in my lifetime, hands down.
And in typical fashion, Hollywood didn't know what to do with it and left executives scratching their heads, some even suggesting that they cast a white actor as the lead to make it more relatable. Talk about missing the plot.
No.
By then, most studios just simply passed. It wasn't until Blumhouse, the masterminds behind low-budget, high-concept hits like Paranormal Activity, Happy Death Day, and The Purge, stepped in and gave it a shot. Jason Blum, head of Blumhouse, gave Jordan complete creative control, something unheard of for a first-time director. Spoilers to follow, obviously, but the story of Get Out follows Chris, a young black man who visits his white girlfriend's family for a weekend getaway, but he starts to sense that something is off, with it eventually being revealed that the wealthy elites are putting their brains into the bodies of young black people. He must escape or be replaced entirely.
I'll control the motor function, so I'll be
Me. You'll be me.
good.
Casting on the film was crucial. Peele needed someone who could carry the weight of charm, fear, and quiet rage. He found that in British actor Daniel Kaluuya after seeing his performance in Black Mirror's 15 Million Merits. Kaluuya came in to audition for the pivotal hypnosis scene, where Chris falls into the sunken place, and Peele was blown away. Kaluuya later revealed that he deeply related to the party scene and called it that kind of racism that isn't seen as racism, it's just life. Allison Williams was cast as Rose Armitage to weaponize her girl next door image from Girls, making her betrayal all the more devastating.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
Catherine Keener and Bradley Whitford played Rose's seemingly genial parents. Whitford later joked that Peele had cast him because of his role on The West Wing and his quintessential white liberal energy. The supporting cast adds layers of tension and unease. Betty Gabriel as Georgina studied footage of animals in distress to capture her unsettling demeanor. Lil Rel Howery was cast as TSA agent Rod and delivered most of his lines off the cuff, and instantly became a fan favorite.
I believe they've been abducting black people, brainwashing them, making them work for them as sex slaves and shit. Sorry about the shit.
Even Lakeith Stanfield originally auditioned for the role of Chris before being cast as Andre. Tiffany Haddish was asked to audition for a role but declined because she was afraid of horror movies. One interesting fact is that Peele cast a karate master named Yasuhiko Oyama as one of the party guests. He's not an actor, but the father-in-law of Peele's friend Ken Marino. You just never know how you'll end up in film.
Do you find that being African American has more advantage or disadvantage in the modern world?
Armed with a shoestring budget of just $4.5 million, thanks in large part to Blumhouse being known for stretching their low budgets to create high-impact films. While Peele ran a disciplined, focused set, he would be described by crew members as calm and collaborative. His biggest challenge wasn't explosion or big set pieces for that matter, it was balancing tone. Peele embedded the film with visual metaphors and layered symbolism. It wasn't just for flavor, but as essential components of the story. Get Out kicked off production in Fairhope, Alabama on February 16, 2016. Peele deliberately avoided traditional Southern racism tropes, focusing instead on the insidious nature of friendly prejudice. During the shoot, Peele was able to bring the sunken place to life. It was created with a mix of CGI and practical effects, and had Kaluuya suspended by wires against a black void to evoke a chilling sense of freefall. Every detail was deliberate, down to the layout of the Armitage home, which was inspired by the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Peele laced the film with references to horror classics. The opening scene where Andre is stalked through suburban streets referenced Halloween and Christine. The blue tint font also mimicked The Shining. The running scene with Walter was a nod to Hitchcock's North by Northwest. Even the music playing during the abduction scene, Run Rabbit Run, was composed by a man named Reginald Armitage, the same surname as the film's villainous family. Though yes, that was just a coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not!
Even Peele's cameo, which would go unnoticed by most, was loaded with meaning. He actually provided the sickening sound of the deer being hit, which is a moment symbolizing the film's theme of empathy and neglect. The score by Michael Abels, a composer that Peele actually discovered on YouTube, added another layer. Its haunting Swahili chants, translated to "Brother Run, listen to the elders," were meant to echo the voices of black ancestors trying to warn Chris.
Get out.
Sorry, man.
Okay. Get out! Yo, chill, man. Get out! Chill, man.
Once the camera stopped rolling, Peele teamed up with editor Gregory Plotkin to put the film together. Plotkin had already edited horror films after working on Paranormal Activity, so he knew how to build tension with the smallest of moments. They would fine-tune the pacing and bring out every ounce of suspense and discomfort that was buried within the footage, like any good editor would. Take the bingo auction scene. No one speaks a word. It's just these wealthy elites silently raising bingo cards like they're playing a casual game at a church fundraiser, except they're actually bidding on a human being. It's staged like the creepiest charity event you've ever seen, and the way it's put together will make anyone's skin crawl, and somehow that makes it even worse. Originally, Get Out was meant to end on a much bleaker note. After Chris strangles Rose to death and finally escapes the Armitage house, flashing red and blue lights appear. But instead of relief, Chris is arrested, the world seeing only a black man at a crime scene filled with white bodies. And that was the original ending. In test screenings, that version hit like a punch to the gut. It reflected a grim reality that felt all too familiar and didn't bode well with audiences. But in the time between writing and release, the world shifted. Peele realized that audiences didn't need another reminder of how unforgiving the world could be. He pivoted and changed the ending. Chris doesn't get arrested, instead he survives and is instead rescued by his buddy Rod. It's a subversion of horror tropes so complete that it feels revolutionary. In a genre where black characters are often sidelined or sacrificed, Get Out ends with our protagonist winning. That decision didn't rewrite the ending, it gave horror fans a mic drop moment that they never saw coming.
I'm TS, mother A. We handle shit That's what we do.
Get Out released in theaters on February 24, 2017, and critics hailed it as a modern masterpiece. The film opened to a strong $33 million weekend, but what shocked industry insiders was how it barely dropped in the weeks that followed. In an era where horror movies often flame out after 2 weekends, Get Out showed incredible staying power. It didn't just open big, it stayed big. Peele's debut kept packing theaters. It became one of those rare films that people had to see, not just for the story, but for the experience. It all hit harder when you were surrounded by a room full of people reacting in real time. That collective buzz kept the box office rolling long past opening weekend. Audiences flocked to theaters and helped to bring in over $250 million worldwide, making it one of the most profitable horror films ever made. It even changed the game at the Academy Awards, a space where horror films are often ignored or dismissed, but there was no denying this one. The film earned 4 major nominations: Best Picture, Best Actor for Daniel Kaluuya, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. And then the impossible happened. Peele made history, becoming the first Black screenwriter to take home the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. When Peele won the award, it wasn't just a win for him. It was a seismic moment for Black creators, horror filmmakers, and for genre storytelling at large. This sent a clear message. Personal, politically charged, genre-defying stories not only belonged at the table, they deserve the spotlight.
Everybody who bought a ticket, who told somebody to buy a ticket, thank you.
Peele was able to found Monkey Paw Productions, a company dedicated to telling bold, socially resonant stories. He would go on to create such hits like Us and Nope, both of which were commercial successes, and continued his exploration of race, class, and media. He cemented himself not just as a director, but built Monkey Paw into a powerhouse and paved the way for films like Candyman, BlacKkKlansman, and Wendell and Wild.
Did you just admit you've been stealing the cream? Why?
Because it tickles my tummy.
Today, Get Out stands as one of the most significant horror films of the 21st century, not just for what it achieved at the box office or during awards season, but for what it proved about the power of genre storytelling. It showed that horror could engage directly with real-world issues like racism and cultural assimilation without losing its ability to entertain or unsettle. The film's impact was immediate and lasting. It became a model for how low-budget, original ideas could cut through a saturated marketplace and dominate both culturally and commercially. It challenged the industry's long-standing assumptions about what stories could succeed and who was allowed to tell them. It even forced a re-evaluation of the horror genre's role, not just as escapism, but for telling social truths. And that, my friends, is what the f*** happened to Get Out.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.